Hi, everybody. I'm very sorry that I can't be there in California for this momentous occasion of being with you all as Michael retires. I first want to congratulate him on an incredible career, and I learned a lot from him. I'm very grateful for everything I learned. He taught me about writing, and he wrote 15 books in 1 year. Well, it took me 15 years to write one book. You know, my dad, Arthur Iberall, sent me to Michael, and the two of them have been the biggest influences in my life. Michael is a computational neuroscientist and working in the brain, taught me a lot about researching, about humor, about charting things, about metaphor. And my dad was a theoretical physicist who developed homeokinetics, the physics of complex systems, which are nature, the brain, humankind, society, and life. And I found a way in this book to combine both Michael's and my father's science. Even though my book is a work of fiction, the science is not. And there's two scientific lectures in the book, and one is really based on Michael's the action perception cycle in the brain, and then the second one is based on my father's work with complex systems. In the first lecture, my main character is trying to talk to these undergraduate students and teach them introduction to biology. But they're really curious about something that she found. She's a professor at Berkeley in ornithology. And she was invited to San Juan Capistrano to figure out why the swallows in Capistrano are dying. And she finds something remarkable, but she's afraid to pursue it because of there's a cloud over her career, and she's been threatened by the dean that if she pursues it, she'll lose her job. And meanwhile, so she's trying to give this lecture about cells and biology to the students, but they're all really curious about what she found, and they want to know more about it. And she finally gives in. Now, science is interesting to us, but it's not so interesting to the masses, so I had to figure out how to make it interesting, and so I used humor, and she's got lots of colored pens that she's like drawing pictures on the whiteboard while she's explaining how the brain works, about the action perception cycle, about competition and cooperation at the neuronal level, which also extends beyond the brain and into all types of competition and cooperation in nature. She makes this comment that we're inside this system and we can't see what's going on because we're inside it. And she talks about neurons, about whether the neurons actually know what they're doing or they're just doing what they are. I mean, I think it's a pretty sophisticated lecture in there, and I think I achieved some humor in it and also capture some essence of how the brain works. The other lecture that I have is about complex systems. My dad wanted to develop a language for all complex systems, and he used thermodynamics, the laws of thermodynamics, to do that, and he created what he called homeokinetics, which he says is the up-down. So all the sciences like astronomy and cosmology and physiology, they're all at one level, and then his homeokinetics binds them all together using thermodynamics so that they're all following the same principles. And he's worked with many scientists in law, politics, psychology, anthropology, economics over the years, and really laid out the foundation for a vocabulary for that. So I tried to figure out how I could capture that again in a way that normal humans that don't have PhDs in physics can understand this complex systems, because ultimately it's important for us that we all should know about it. Because of climate change, we are all being affected, and our planet is changing, and we have to adapt with it. This is the book. The book started from this in 1996, and it was published in 2014. And it's got a chart, because Michael always has lots of charts. So there's the chart in the book. And I had to make it interesting. Now, one thing I gleaned from my father's writing was he used baseball as a metaphor, which is something else I learned from Michael about metaphor. And so I grabbed onto this baseball metaphor, which my father had just like in a paragraph or two in some of his papers or a paper. And I just expanded. I thought a lot about it. He says complex systems are like myriads of baseball games being played out for eons on eons. There's no end. There's no who's got the most runs wins. All that's gone, and it's just going on. So how does that change the game? So I expanded on it, and I think I made it interesting. I think I always wondered what was my real forte. I kind of left science because I loved science. I loved researching, but I never, but I was more interested in the people, the scientists, and what they were thinking and why they were doing their work. And I think what I ultimately see now is that my forte is taking complex things and making them simple to understand. I've become a bridge between the heart and the mind. And I'm really glad about my scientific training, because I research continually everything I can. I think this book is really important to get out there because it's talking about how imbalanced our society is and how we have to get on a balance. We're way too far over on the competition side, and we have to bring in cooperation. We can't just have one or the other. And our competition metaphor style is killing us. So I'm hoping with my book I can bring this out. I'm grateful for my two mentors, Michael and my dad. They took two very complex topics, the brain and complex systems, and really delved into them and showed me a way to try to capture their work so that other people can understand it. And their belief in me gave me the courage to capture their ideas in a fictional context in order to teach this to the masses. And I hope I have done both of them justice. Thank you, Michael, for everything that you've accomplished and all your dedication in years that you've devoted to your students and to your and to your research and to your vision. I'm sending a copy of the book to Michael. I hope you enjoy it.